Rule 14, remove the boring stuff.
Yeah, remove the boring stuff.
And for me, and I think for most people, most of the boring stuff is I've got to prove what I just said.
Yeah.
So I've got to explain it and prove it. And we get taught in high school and college that that's the model. If you say something, prove it and show your work, show your explanation, right? Well, that's not, in real life, people trust each other or distrust each other, and they make a snap judgment. And if they distrust you, maybe they need to see some proof. But if they trust what you're writing and they're a friendly reader, you don't have to prove what you said. And usually they kind of can fill in gaps and get it on their own and want to move on.
I like to essentialize. So I'm going to pull out a quote from Good Writing that I thought very essentialized all of the rules. These rules economize, favor the plain spoken and specific, keep the reader's attention sharp, and in other ways, show respect for the audience's time and desire for novelty. Neal, you wrote this, and I thought we could go through it a bit, and it would be a way that you could point out some of the rules that support each one of these essential principles. So firstly, these rules economize. I love this. I'm just sitting here, I'm writing a long text to somebody as I'm reading the book yesterday. And I thought, wow, that's really long, Tammy. I'm apologizing for something and I have a lot to say in my apology. And I'm like, the last thing this person wants to read is a text this long. So then I thought I'm going to use the rules. And I went back and I probably took 30% out. And I thought, this is awesome. So go ahead, talk a little about economizing.
So interestingly, by the way, you say I wrote that sentence. That's my favorite sentence in the book. And it is. And I have a complete absence of sense of owning it. I don't know. It's the sort of thing that just comes. And so I really can sort of see the interdependence of the world and see that I didn't write this book. My parents wrote it. My friends wrote it. All the things that influenced and got channeled into it. But that sentence in particular, I didn't write that sentence. Now that you read it aloud to me, I notice that the answer to your question is the end of the sentence, right? So the end of the sentence says something about respect the reader's attention and desire for novelty, attention span, it could say, right? I've forgotten the exact words you read, but that's exactly it.
The audience's time. Which is also what we're doing here. I want to respect our listeners' time and their desire to hear something new that's going to help them. But keep going, Neal.
No, that's it. I've economized. I answered your question. It's time and respect for novelty. People want novelty and people want to be able to conclude it so they can do something new. And they want that in a sentence. But we're going to go
into it a little bit more. What are some of the top ways you both know when you go back into draft number 2 and 3, Annie, I'm going to economize? What do you, like, this is it. This is what I do.
Well, Neal and I show each other everything we write before we submit it to an agent or an editor. And so I will ask him, I will know something is 500 words too long, and I will ask him to go through, because, by the time you've written the draft, your eye starts glancing off stuff, that you really might have paid better attention to or cut or shortened. And it's so great to have somebody go through and say, this goes on too long. You don't want this long a description. You wrote 2 long paragraphs about the trip to the local dump with your father when you were 8 years old. And I would love 1 short paragraph. Do it again. It's just about but when I was coming up, same with Neal, there was this phrase about putting it through the typewriter again. And it meant you went through the whole draft and you looked at every paragraph and you took out everything you could. Or like Jessica Mitford's great paraphrase that you must kill your little darlings, that you go through and there are these sentences you shoehorned in that are supposed to make the reader think you're smarter or more educated or more ironic or less of a buzzkill than you really are. And you just love it so much. And you just have to take it out if it's one of your darlings, because it's going to stick out to the reader. I'm the same as you. When I write a text, it's way too long, and I'll go through and I'll cut it in half. I mean, every second draft I write, I've cut out a quarter of the first draft because the length of the stuff got me to having the choice, the ability to select the stuff that really shines, the stuff that is really resonant or that is descriptive. All of us write descriptions that are way too long, and we write the description beautifully, and it's like, that's nice, but being a writer means I got to get you to the next page, and I am not going to read 3 paragraphs about your kindergarten class. I will read one. If you wrote it carefully, really happily, because I will identify, it'll be a mirror for me. So everything I write is too long. Every draft, every email, everything. And one thing, this book often talks about trusting your editors, because editors will very gently say, this goes on too long. You're losing me. And
it's summed up in Rule 14, remove the boring stuff.
Yeah, remove the boring stuff.
And for me, and I think for most people, most of the boring stuff is I've got to prove what I just said.
Yeah.
So I've got to explain it and prove it. And we get taught in high school and college that that's the model. If you say something, prove it and show your work, show your explanation, right? Well, that's not, in real life, people trust each other or distrust each other, and they make a snap judgment. And if they distrust you, maybe they need to see some proof. But if they trust what you're writing and they're a friendly reader, you don't have to prove what you said. And usually they kind of can fill in gaps and get it on their own and want to move on much faster than I think they do. Annie's much better at removing the boring stuff. She doesn't even put it in her first draft. I have to cut so much more.
Discover on-demand videos and docuseries, explore a full schedule of daily live classes, and become part of an incredible community. At Sounds True One, we invite you inward to find your way, your way.